contact with the ball like they should.
He's got the right lineup, you think?
For what he
Based,
has, yeah.
yeah, based
I
on what
mean,
he can.
again,
You can't start somebody with the White Sox.
yeah. I mean, he doesn't have the greatest lineup in the world, and but yet he's got enough there to make something happen with, I would think. But boy,
Good boy. That's Vinnie waxing eloquent today. We're live, and he's talking about the Seattle Mariners not being able to score runs or look like they're interested in the game. Maybe they're not familiar with the game. Did it ever occur to you that they're learning it as they go?
well, I have thought about that, Michael. I have thought about the fact that maybe they just don't. Maybe they just don't know the game. Maybe they've decided that when you come to Seattle, I mean, these are guys that know the game when they play other places. I mean, take a look at Teoscar Hernandez. I mean, he's beating the crap out of ball in LA, going on his second year now after he left the Mariners.
Well, on a team like that, if you don't hit the ball, you don't play. You know how that feels. Well, the funny thing about people apparently being experts in their field, Donald Trump last night in his tuxedo said that he knew what the fuck he was doing. He knew what he was doing. We don't know what he's doing. No one can figure out what he's doing, but he knows what he's doing, and he's doing the right thing. So that made me feel a lot better knowing that no one can figure out what he's up to. It seems to be wrong. It seems to be wrong-headed. It seems to be getting all the wrong results. But apparently that's what he was looking for. So maybe he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, Michael, maybe he does know what he's doing. And maybe when it's all said and done, he'll know what he's doing. But as far they have that always thing. They have that phrase you always see: the complete faith and credit of the U.S. government. That phrase, it's on top of the. I went to the ATM yesterday. It was on top of the ATM, and I just don't have a lot of faith and don't give him a lot of credit.
You can't. Faith will, at this point is going to be nothing but a fool's errand, and the credit, no, no credit for Donald Trump.
I
No,
mean, I
no,
can
and
understand.
no credit for the dark idiots that follow him with uh, with hardly a glance backward.
Well, I mean, I understand some of the things that they want to do. They want to rid the country of terrorists. But
Says who? I mean, just because they say they want that doesn't mean that that's what they want.
well, that's what they proclaim. But there's a way you do that. Um, I think. I mean, I don't know. See, I'm not an expert. I mean, I mean, the possibility exists that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, and he knows what he's talking about, which
Well,
scares.
if the idea to get rid of terrorists is your idea, don't take away people's social security. You will make terrorists 10 at a time,
Right.
and they'll find you
That's
before they'll find you before you can get to your limousine, and they'll take you into pieces.
that's the thing that I always worry about. Is these guys always say, "Well, we want to get rid of terrorists. We want to do this. We want to do that," and I just kind of say, "Well, that's all well and good, but all these things that you seem to do create more terrorists. When you take somebody that's walking down the street and they have a green card and you pull them off the street, throw them in the back of a van, and just say you're under arrest.
You give them coffee? Probably not.
I don't even think they give them coffee, to be honest with you. Throw them in the back of the van and take off in front of their wife and your pregnant wife. And I mean, how do people not look at that and say this is just absolutely wrong? And I'm gonna fight it. I'm gonna do something about it. Where if you take somebody and you tell them come down and we'll talk to you, and I mean you have the means to find everybody. If you don't want to find it, if you want to find somebody and they're in this country, you can find
But they have certain rights by being that are being ignored for the
well,
convenience
that's
of
just
just being
it.
able to spirit them off the street.
And anytime a judge now goes against what the Trump administration wants to do, all of a sudden another judge comes up and
Says
says,
looks
"Well,
good to
that first
me.
judge was wrong."
Yeah, it looks good to me. Let's
So
go
we're
with it.
playing this incredible giant game of we don't have to obey the law. We can do things however we want. And now, if they were catching terrorists, if they were out there and they were and they raided somebody's house, and they found bombs and they found maps and they found walkie-talkie, whatever terrorists use, I don't know what they use. But if they raided their house, they picked these people up and they had this stuff on them, I'd say, good job, Bob. You did something.
Well,
But
from now on, we have to.
when you rip somebody away from their family without even being able to explain it,
And if you make a mistake, you don't have to answer for it. It's
I
like
don't
Vinnie is
understand
frozen.
it. I don't.
Nope, he's back. Nope, he's not. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, I don't. I have trouble understanding how the blanket, um, the blanket arrest, the blanket detention, the blanket expulsion of people because they have a tattoo or a different color. Now, if they know that these people are an MS-13 person or this gang or that gang, well, that's one thing. But they don't know. They're throwing people out of the country that they just don't know, purely for the fact that they have dark skin
And they're
or a
not
tattoo.
and they're not concerned one way or the other about whether they're right or wrong. Not the least bit concerned. In fact, you're the problem for bringing up the inequities in their process. These people have, if you can, if step one is eliminate due process, then you're not dealing with terrorists, you're becoming one.
But
And
there's a
that's what,
whole lot of people out there that agree with them.
well,
There's a
yeah,
whole
but
lot of
but
people out there.
I'm not giving those people any credence whatsoever just because you believe in them.
There's
You're
a whole lot of people out there that agree with them, and if that's the case, how do you fight that? How do you fight it when people agree?
in the only place to fight it now, the only place that's left for us is court because the executive and the legislative branch are in cahoots.
And listen, I think the court is in cahoots too. I mean, I think they're all in cahoots. Listen, they see an opportunity to the Republicans, I think,
To seize power.
to do something that they haven't been able to do before, and that is to control the government unilaterally, not being able to say that we're going to do this, we're not going to worry about laws, we're not going to worry about this, to install an authoritarian government that you will live by our rules or you
Jackboot
will leave.
thugs. The term jackbooted thugs comes to mind.
You know, yeah, but again, we can sit here and talk about it all day. I mean, we kind of know what's going on. We know what's happening. It's no secret.
And how do you know that? You know it because there's still a free press to the degree that we can appreciate that.
Well, yeah, and how long is that going to last?
Well, probably longer than Social Security.
Well, I just what do you do? That's the question.
Well, what you do with a bad dog? You grab him by the nape of the neck and you take him outside.
Yeah, Michael. You know what? That sounds great, but the reality is, what happens between now and that election? Is it giving money? Is it finding candidates? Is it? I mean, there's nobody I look at in the Democratic Party that I say, well, there's somebody I'm going to get behind, and they're going to be able to amass the money and amass all the kind of backing that Trump has, or Trump and Musk. Now, there's supposed to be a fissure between the two. I don't know how real that is or not real it is.
Well, there's nothing that they discuss publicly or in secret that is real for very long. They just make it up as they go along, agree to agree with each other. The only thing that's real is China's pissed off, Russia's pissed off, Europe's pissed off. China is looking friendlier to Canada than we are, and the sides are being chosen up. This is going to be some pickup game. No one's going to play with us, and no one's going to choose Trump last.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot worse than a pickup game, Michael. This is going to be something that we're not going to want to see. This is going to be something we're not going to want our kids to see.
A couple more months, we won't be able to fix it.
I don't know if you can fix it now. How would you fix it now? What could you do to fix it now?
One presidential declaration, just put it back the way it was. Everybody come up to work tomorrow and fix it.
But it doesn't happen like that. How does it? I mean, again.
Well, you can't say that. You can't say you want it fixed and then reject the fix. You can't have it both ways.
But what's the fix? The real fix? Everybody goes to work tomorrow. How do they go to work?
Back to square one.
How do they go to work? Who goes to work? Where do they go to work? Tell me where I can show up tomorrow and do something.
Those who lost their jobs through the Trump malfeasance are immediately restated as it was before.
Who's going to do that?
Presidential decree.
He's not going to do that.
Well, that's how they got fired. You can fire them with a presidential decree, but you can't fix it with one.
Right? You think that he's going to have a change of heart tomorrow morning?
Oh no, it won't be Trump that does it. Trump's never going to fix it. Trump has
well, he's the only one that can do a presidential decree, right?
He's doing what he's doing via that. Yes, via that.
Right. So again, I need somebody to show me to say to me, how do we fix this? How do we change this? Is there even a way? And for me, I think personally that it's organized, that it's be ready for a midterm election, and for an election that's coming up this coming November, to run candidates and get candidates that are going to get into the smallest offices in the country. All of those county clerks and all of that other stuff.
That's a lot of people are running for those opening jobs.
And I think that's where you start.
First timers.
You have to start by making sure that you have oversight over the election that's coming up at the midterms. Otherwise, they're going to do their best to try to steal that.
Well, they're already trying it. They're disemboweling the election commissions in every state.
Right.
And they're doing it so that the outcome of the election cannot be verified or followed or understood or explained.
And I don't know. I just think we're at a point where we may have thrown this country away already.
Screwed the pooch.
We may be at a point where this guy will screw this country up so bad that there will be no going back. That there will be that you'll have to see some kind of radical change, whether it be states leaving the union, whether it be some kind of radical. I mean, I don't know how else you can fix it. You can't sit on your hands. And the only way, I think, one of the ways that you can fix it again is that people have to be out there and they have to be organizing people so that there is such a showing of, whether you agree with the Democrats or not, there has to be such a showing of a pummeling of the Republican Party, any candidate they run for any office,
They cannot recover.
that these weasels at the congressional level, and these weasels at the Senate level, and these weasels um,
In the cabinet.
in cabinet start to think that if I want to hold on to my job, cabinet's not going, they're not going to worry about holding on to their job, but they are going to have to realize that when these midterms come around, that they're going to get thrown out.
Well,
That
rats
they're
don't want
going
to
to be
leave.
gone.
Rats don't want to leave the ship. It's an inconvenience, but they're going to have to leave the ship.
So that's the only thing I can think of, Michael, is how you, and it's not even fixing it. It's just, and if you have Democrats and they want to be these mamby-pamby Democrats that just want to, not do anything, then you know what? Somebody's going to have to go and primary them. And we're going to have people that have the nerve to save this country. And if you don't have that, then kiss your ass goodbye. You'll have nothing. Our kids will have nothing. Our kids they'll have nothing to look forward to. Not Social Security, not education, not anything. We'll be a country of lemmings that just want to follow the leader.
Follow the Facebook. Follow the bouncing Facebook.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what it amounts to. That what they see on social media is what they'll believe. The country will be controlled by Musk and by
Zuckerberg,
the Facebook guy, and the people that run social media in this country.
Jeff Bezos.
That's who control of the country. They'll put what they want you to hear on Facebook,
but they're in trouble now. They're in trouble now. They're in trouble now too, Vinnie, because this new economy is stinging the biggest companies the hardest. No matter what their exchange rate is, no matter Apple can't manufacture its phones anymore. The phones, if they made them here, would cost over $3,000. But now they're going to cost close to that if you buy one that was made in China.
Yeah,
and Apple has to sell those damn phones. They have to.
Go try to buy an iPhone in a couple of weeks when these tariffs take effect. I mean, not all of these companies are going to absorb these tariffs. Now, I know Mercedes-Benz has said, and I know from the auto business because that's what I follow a lot, and I know for the time being, Mercedes-Benz has said that they're gonna absorb the tariffs. But that's not going to happen with a lot of companies. That's not going to happen.
I don't know why they would volunteer to absorb it.
Because they want to sell cars. And if their cars are expensive enough and their profit margins are big enough that they can afford to do it. No company is going to absorb the tariffs if they can't afford to do it. But they figure that to keep selling their cars.
I bet they can't tell you what the tariff is. But they can't give you a dollar amount.
No, I couldn't either. I don't think anybody in the administration can give you an idea of what the tariffs are right now because you have parts that are going in the country, out of the country, out of the country, in the country. You have cars that are going in the country, out of the country. You have a car that's put together here, then taken there and put together. So I don't know that anybody knows. I think that's part of it is nobody seems to have a grip on exactly how these tariffs are going to be charged or are going to take place. Or
did they move the partially constructed car across the border, or do they just bring the parts in and do the assembly here?
Well, if they bring the parts in from another country, they're going to get charged. Right now,
I just wondered, did they actually take a partially finished car
Yeah, yeah,
across the border?
yeah. They load cars that are being assembled in one place or sub-assemblies, like an engine, a transmission, and sometimes what they call a platform, which is an engine, transmission, a battery, and a frame. And then they take that to another assembly plant that might be in Canada, and they assemble it there. They may assemble the motors and the battery in Europe and ship those over to a plant in Georgia
Where they
or
put
in
in the seats
Tennessee
and finish the trunk.
where they finish the vehicle. Or it may go the other way around. They may assemble things here. Although it's it's interesting because the companies always seem to prefer doing assembling the cars out of the country and then bringing them here, because in Europe people don't like cars that are assembled or built in America. For the most part, it's considered a substandard product.
It's not a well done finished product.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of respect for cars that are built in America. And I mean, you have people that's how they're going to look at it. That they don't, So and through all of this, you have now China, who has this huge auto industry, huge,
You can't buy their cars here, though, can you?
and you can't buy that with very few exceptions. You cannot buy their cars or trucks here. Because the tariffs, and these are tariffs that Biden put on China, because there's a fear that once the Chinese get in, it's going to destroy
They'll price everybody else out.
Well, not only do they price everybody out, but they build a superior product that appears for everybody. Now, I've not driven a Chinese branded car. I've driven a Volvo that was made in China. I've driven something else that was made in China too, and I can't remember it off the top of my head. But the quality was supreme on the cars. I mean, they got their crap together when it comes to building cars and price point.
Is it one car from China? Did it have a lot of models?
No, it's a particular Volvo is owned by a Chinese car company, Geely, and the certain models of Volvos are built in China now and exported around the world because it's less expensive for them to build it in China. But the tariffs on those cars are pretty expensive for most countries. As a matter of fact, just the day before yesterday, I believe it was, India told China, we don't want your cars here because they're afraid they're going to blow up. So blow up the car industry in India. So, it's not only us that's going through this tariff thing. I mean, it's going on. China is the United States 40 years ago.
With price controls.
With price controls, yeah.
And able to introduce products and operate at a loss to take
They're
market
innovative.
Share.
They have some of the best people, the best well-educated people in the world working on their products. They're not afraid to build a car and have the car fail because of the, like you were saying, the different government subsidies. So they're able to do that. It's okay. So we just got breaking news. President Trump says he is pausing tariffs on many countries for 90 days while he's lowering the reciprocal tariff rate and he's increasing the tariff rate on goods imported from China to 125%.
So he's making a deal with the small countries and playing hardball with China.
Playing hardball. He's, let's see, he indicated he was rewarding countries for not retaliating against the United States by implementing a pause in some tariffs, which putting into effect a lower 10% rate.
What
So
the
he's
hell?
stopping the reciprocal tariffs.
So do you think anybody can tell you what the tariff is now?
No.
It's been changed
Now,
every 2 days since we discussed it.
Well, and you know, Michael, that's part of the problem. You know, part of the problem is, you know this. I mean, if you're doing business with the United States,
You're dealing
you
with a
know what
crazy
to
man.
expect.
You are a crazy person to do business with us right now.
Well, no, but before Trump came along, you knew what to expect. You knew what the laws were. You knew what the tariffs were. You knew what you needed to do in order to do business here. Now it changes every week. You have a tariff, you don't have a tariff. You have a rule, you don't have a rule. You can make this, you can't make it.
And now will the markets recover after this pause?
Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, I'm sure they probably will to a degree. And I could imagine that a lot of those CEOs who jumped into bed with him to get him elected, you know, took a little trip down to Washington or had a Zoom meeting and said, "Hey, you stopped it
Today.
Today. You fix this because we're losing our shirts." As a matter of fact, we can't buy a shirt because there's 37% tariff on it because I like Chinese suits.
Custom-made shirts going to cost you extra.
So, and again, you have a situation where there's so much going on that it's impossible for you to keep your eye on the ball of everything. You can't, it's so wacky, you can't follow it all, can you?
No.
I don't know. I can't.
You can't find a weatherman to predict the next hurricane because they've all been fired.
Yeah. And, you know, the interesting thing I saw along those lines is that the U.S. Weather Service has stopped issuing weather reports in Spanish.
Just cause.
Well, we wouldn't want them Spanish people to know what the hell was going on.
They'll take advantage of us every time if they know what the weather is.
Maybe the wind will blow them out, you know? So
when Trump heard you don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows, he mistook it for advice.
Well, he doesn't need a weatherman. He can just draw. I mean, remember when it was that hurricane and they said, well, it wasn't going to hit New Orleans? He says, oh, yeah, it is going to hit New Orleans. And he drew that line down there. And sure enough, the hurricane didn't win near New Orleans. Never. So, I don't know. I like I said, I'm at a loss for ideas when it comes to this stuff. I mean, people that get paid a lot of money to follow this can't follow it.
They can barely follow it.
Yeah.
Can't stay even.
So I don't know how we can follow it. with our limited resources and the fact that we're just here, um, purely for entertainment.
We're like Dan Wilson. We're only in the game for the entertainment, for the fun factor.
Well, that's what his bosses seem to say. I feel sorry for Dan because Dan is not going to ever get what he needs to be a winning manager in that place. He's
And
going to get.
no speech is going to fix the problems that the team has.
And meanwhile, it's interesting because I think that the the Mariners, could have probably signed Pete Alonso if they had wanted to. He had no real solid offers. They would have had to come up with some coin, but they could have probably got him for the same money that the Mets paid him.
And was first base something that needed to be addressed by the Mariners?
Everything needs to be addressed by the Mariners except pitching.
That's a long list.
And the catcher. And the center fielder. Everything else is open for interpretation. Everything else, if you have somebody that can hit the ball like Alonso,
Make a move.
you replace who's at first base. Part of the downfall of the Mariners is that they kept people around longer than they should have because they were fan favorites.
Anybody who's played a couple of years is a fan favorite.
So, anyway, Alonso is beating the crap out of the ball in New York. Alonso looks like the best free agent move of the offseason.
How long's his deal with the Mets?
Just a year.
That's
You
why
can
he's
opt
playing
out.
like it.
He can opt out after this year.
He's showing himself to be a candidate right now.
Nobody wanted to sign this guy. And he's ripping the cover off the ball. And again, it's early. Well, when you're going good, it's early applies to when you're going good too. People tend to forget that. But every time I look at a Mets game, every time I see a Mets game,
There's Pete.
There's Pete with 2 hits, home run, an extra base hit at the end of in the 8th inning, and marching his team on to victory.
Well, the Giants are trying something that they tried last year unsuccessfully, and that is the idea of playing a game but not scoring any runs and trying to win the game with 0 runs. It just makes it so difficult when you absolutely set yourself up not to score. And they had 2 great pitching performances wasted. 2-0 and 1-0. I'd say you pretty much got the other team almost where you want them. Except for the fact that you can't score any runs.
Yeah, they should have been able to beat the Reds, but they just didn't seem to have anything.
But we just finished beating the Reds. We beat them in Cincinnati like we owned them. We got out here and we can't find the ball.
Well,
can't find second base.
It's one game. Let's see if they get back into. But listen, the Giants, I think, are the story of the surprise of the year so far.
They are if they can maintain the upside.
Damn it.
Well,
you're right.
Again, that it goes in waves and in rhythms, and what's happening today isn't going to be what usually isn't what's going to happen throughout a whole season. We may wind up seeing what you see in September may look the same, probably will look very different.
Usually there's 1 or 2 major changes. Well, like the Mariners, they need a right fielder all of a sudden.
Yeah. all of a sudden they need a lot of things, but they need somebody who can hit the ball. That's what they need.
Yep. Big
Now,
A.
let me ask you a question. So popular thing is to buy a brick outside the ballpark or on a walkway in the ballpark with your name on it. That's how they fund some of these community functions in these various ballparks. I think the
Hmm.
Giants did it when they built what are they calling that this week? Oracle Field.
Yeah, they did it, but then they covered them up. They moved them all out without
Yeah.
notifying anybody.
Well, the Pirates have done the same thing. The Pirates did it um, by putting bricks in the sidewalk. I mean, I know they put them somewhere in the stadium too. I think out by the outfield wall, but they decided to rip the bricks up and not tell anybody.
It's a slight remodel.
And all of a sudden, the bricks were gone, and nobody knew where the bricks were until some intrepid reporter found them in a salvage yard somewhere.
Whoa.
All of the bricks were all the names on them. And for the second time in a week, the Pirates PR people were left scrambling.
Treading water.
Um, where are the bricks? Number one.
Who made the
What
decision?
happened with these? Where did these bricks go? And why are you ripping them up? People bought these bricks. Now, I don't know how long you can reasonably expect a brick to be there when you buy a brick. That, to me, is the number one question. What is the amount of time? What is the contract for? How long can you expect that brick?
What was the promise?
I guess they were saying that the bricks had worn down, that they had the sidewalk was uneven, that there was a hazard, they had to fix it, and they were just going to replacing it just with a regular sidewalk. And this comes on the heel of the whole Roberto Clemente problem that they had. Who's ever running a PR show over there or the marketing department? I'm not going to say this is baseball information. This is separate. This is
community relations are strong.
Yeah, this is community relations. And it's funny because usually if the Pirates have one thing that they do good, it's their PR people, their baseball information people, and their marketing people. Their baseball information people are among the best in the business. And their marketing people, now the people who communicate community affairs and things like that, are also among the best in the business. Great people to work with. I know quite a few of them. Jimmy T and Dan are the baseball information, the head of that department, are great people. They know what they're doing. I'll put them up against the best in the business. So again, it seems like the marketing department, the sales department, for the second week in a row, has a kerfuffle, a problem, a public relations problem on their hands, and this one hurts. This is different, Michael, because
self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah, people buy those bricks. And what happens is they buy them a lot of times to honor people.
Like your pop.
Like your dad or your mom or somebody who did something for you. Or you buy them as a gift to honor somebody. I know that somewhere out in center field at Safeco, or whatever they call it this week, at Safeco, somebody bought me a brick. And it's out there somewhere for, the stuff we did with the ballpark. So my question becomes again, how long should you rightfully expect that brick is there? Is it in perpetuity? Or is it a certain amount of time? Do you buy it for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years?
Or 6 months.
Should you have a right when they decide to rip those bricks up to get that brick back?
It's my brick. Give it to me. I'll put it in the garden.
I'll put it in my garden. I'll put it on my mantle. I'll put Pop's ashes over it. But the Pirates didn't seem to afford anybody that opportunity.
They took it right to the landfill.
They took it right to the recycling brick recycling yard, where you'd find JT the Brick, I'm sure.
The brick.
Yeah,
Well,
Brick. JT the Brick. But people in Pittsburgh are pretty pissed off.
they're bent out of shape now.
Yeah, bent out of shape against a club that they're already bent out of shape with over the Roberto Clemente thing last week, and over the fact that they hate the owner. That the owner runs it as a for-profit business. That he doesn't care about. He doesn't care about winning. He cares about making money. And what people don't realize is that's what baseball owners have been about for the most part for a long time.
Well, some teams get away with it for a long time. Pirates have gotten away with it for some years, many years, more than they should have. Now they're finding ways to piss off their fan base.
Yeah, I mean, well,
You know who should take note? Who should take note would be the Mariners.
well, again, what is the? Let me ask you this question: what do you have the right to expect out of a baseball ownership? Should they spend all their money, or should they be responsible for making money for their partners, their stockholders, the people that contribute the money to buy the team?
Well, the idea that you can make unlimited funds with a losing team, I think, is something that appeals to businessmen, but not to sports fans. And there's no way that you can sustain a competitive team if that's your business model. No way. Because you can't win.
Because you don't have the. You're not going to make the money. The owners of the Mariners are never going to go out and spend $750 million
for one guy.
For one player. It's never going to happen. They're not built that way unless Bill Gates buys them. People enjoyed here an immense luxury with Paul Allen buying the Seahawks, and his sister still runs the show since Paul passed, and so they have a philosophy of spend what it takes to be a good team, but they also don't overspend. But there's a cap, so there's only a certain amount that they can spend. Baseball has no salary cap, and baseball has no minimum.
Baseball has a luxury tax, so.
Right. They have a luxury tax, and that kind of moves things around a little bit. But when they distribute that luxury tax, do the other teams go out and spend it on players?
The Mets did. They were $25 million over or whatever, or some figure like that.
Right, but I'm saying that the other teams that are supposed to get the money from that luxury tax, the Mets pay $25 million in luxury tax. I'm guessing that it gets distributed evenly between teams that are in a certain place. I don't know. Maybe you have to go down and apply for it at the local stadium.
And the White Sox get nothing.
Well, they should.
You guys stink, but you stink, so you get nothing.
Well, they shouldn't get anything because they're in a major market, right? The teams to get the benefit of that tax should be the teams that aren't in major markets, right? The Kansas City Royals should be the beneficiary of that tax. The Tampa
Milwaukee.
Bay Devil Rays
Yeah.
should be a beneficiary of that tax.
The Sacramento Athletics.
The Athletics, well, that's a good one because who do you how do you determine what a major market is for the purposes of that tax?
Well, even when they move, if they move, Las Vegas is not going to be considered a major market.
No, it's still what I think it's still in the 20s, right?
Probably.
Um, yeah, so it's not going to be a major market.
No.
I don't know that you can even consider Washington D.C. a major market.
Well, because of its proximity to all the surrounding states. Yeah.
Yeah, but is Baltimore a major market?
No.
Philadelphia could be,
Yes. Yes.
but that's the thing is that who and how when they receive that money do they spend that money?
Right
Now,
in their bank.
does it go? Do the partners sit there and divvy it up, or does it go into a fund where they can spend that money on players? It doesn't seem like they do that with the Pirates. Seems like Bob Nutting takes that money and sticks it into his pocket. He buys some hot dogs and well, our Mariners buy hot dogs. They throw them out of the upper deck.
It's
If
an
you
idea. It's an idea that could go wrong. What could
if you
possibly go
want to see
wrong?
people, it just reminds me so much of I forget what movie it is I saw many years ago, and the emperor is throwing things at the slaves,
Keep them happy.
throwing like piles of grapes and fruits, and they're all running for him, and they're trying to grab a they're running over each other and stomping on each other to grab
Oh
to
yeah.
grab a bunch of grapes or a hot dog falling from the sky.
And these are the jokes, folks.
So people, they and it eerily reminds me of that is we're not gonna spend any money on players, but we're gonna throw you out some hot dogs.
Some, not a lot. Some.
Some, I mean, with what they make, you would think that they would give everybody a hot dog when they came to the ballpark.
Bobble hot dog.
Here's a hot dog. All 20,000 of you that showed up tonight get a hot dog.
For the first 5,000.
It's free hot dog night.
But not for
Or
everybody.
free soda night. Although they have the thing in I forget what the dollar amount is that you buy this cup for I forget what it is,
And they'll keep filling it.
and then you can fill it up all year.
That's a good promotion.
They have the taps. Well, they started that in Atlanta. I guess they cut a deal with Coke, and you bought your soda, and you could go back, and the fountains were just laying out there. So if you wanted to go up and fill your Coke cup up 10 times during the game,
That was your deal.
go ahead, knock yourself out. Take one to drink on the way to the car. And I think they found that soda sales went up.
Huh.
They charge you $10 for a bottle of water. But if you buy a Coke or an orange or whatever it is, we've come a long way from the watery orange drink that had that plastic cap
And
on
Andy,
it.
Andy Griffith said, I do believe I'll have another big orange.
I have another crush. Give me another knee high. So,
Well, there's no solution to any of our problems today, Vinny. Have you noticed?
no, Mikey, I don't know that there is
Ba-
going to be a solution for our
Baseball
problems.
doesn't get better,
Our,
even when they win a little bit. They haven't won enough to make a difference, and our government is so broken that maybe there's no one around to fix it.
yeah, I mean, it's a
There's
tough,
certainly no Republicans interested in fixing it.
yeah, the Democrats are running for cover.
They got to run for
The
office.
Democrats are behind a bunker, and they're trying to figure out what to do. Reminds me of there used to be a show in the mid '60s um, that starred Phyllis Diller. It was called The Pruitts of Southampton, and it was about this family, this rich family, that loses all their money. So they have to take in laundry, and they have to, they have to basically go clean houses and do this. And I'll never forget the theme to the show was Phyllis Diller with her cigarette holder coming down a flight of stairs like in a mansion, and she's singing what to do, 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 what to do. And every time I open up the newspaper these days or go online and look at the news, I sit there and I just think to myself, what to do, what to do, what to do, what to do.
It's a comedy.
Because it's I mean, Aaron Sorkin couldn't write this stuff.
I wonder what he is writing.
Well, we're getting, we're getting close to the time when we're going to start to see. Although I think the media, the news, certainly the news departments, and I think the entertainment departments are running a little scared. Would you want to be the one to put a satire
Yep,
of
I
Trump
would.
on right now? I
I certainly
mean,
would.
Saturday Night Live has been getting away with it, but they're on Saturday night after around midnight.
No, this would be a good time.
Jimmy Kimmel, how long before somebody calls up somebody at ABC and says, "We don't like Kimmel. You got to get rid of Kimmel, or we're going to make sure you don't get your license back." You think that and the same goes for Colbert. You think that a government who picks people up off the street and shoots them out of the country would have any problem doing that to Jimmy Kimmel?
He's just a comedian.
And if you're Jimmy Kimmel, to be honest with you, why do you need to put yourself in danger? At some point, you probably say, "What do I need this for? I got my money.
Let's have Matt Damon on again tonight.
Yeah, I got money. Um, let somebody else do it."
I'm in California. We're safe.
And you've seen that in a bit with that show that comes on after Colbert, where they basically talk about what happened in social media that day.
Who does follow Colbert? The girl.
Yeah, I can't remember her name right now. I don't. I think I've only seen the show a couple of times when I couldn't sleep. But at some point, listen, Trump is no friend of the entertainment business.
Oh no.
He's already taken over the impresario part of the of the Kennedy Center.
Yeah, he's in charge now.
No, nobody asked the Kennedys how they felt about that. I don't think, except for Robert Jr. He's
He's
probably all for it.
he's amazingly bullish on the move. Yes.
And if you got a Kennedy in your corner, amazing things can happen.
Well, today is going to be a different day, Van. You wait and see. I don't know if it's going to be good news or bad news, but it's going to be different.
Yeah, it is going to be a different day, Michael. I mean, that's the one good thing is they all seem to be a little bit different. It's just it's mentally draining, Michael.
Yeah.
And when you do what we do, I mean, it's almost like I feel like we come on every day, every other day, and we say the same stuff. And that the people that listen to us know what we're going to be saying. Is no, if you're listening to us, you're probably think the same way about these things as we do.
And stay even with the events of the day.
But
Keep yourself informed.
But as Phyllis always sings, what to do, what to
What to
do,
do,
what to
what to
do,
do,
what to
what to
do.
do.
That, my friend, is the question.
Well, what we're going to do is repeat the show on a Freaky Friday. It'll be fractious.
Yes, we have a Fractious Friday show coming up. Guess when?
I'm going to take a guess. Not
Friday.
Thursday.
No, we're
Friday.
going to
Oh,
do it on
Friday.
Friday
Okay.
morning at 10:10. If the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise.
Well, I was going to say water wine, but you haven't said the thing yet.
No, I haven't said what the world needs now is peace, love, and Manischewitz.
And it's available at your local store. Go by and get a. It comes in a
Except
plastic
in
bottle.
Canada. You can't get it in Canada now.
You can't get it. They don't want it. They don't want to know about it.
What the hell are the Jewish people doing in Canada for Passover? They can't get Manischewitz.
There's got to be a brand A, brand B. There's got to be a brand X.
I'm going to look because that's an interesting question. What do you do if you can't? Because Manischewitz is made in Brooklyn. I don't think they make it in Canada. So you got a whole bunch of Orthodox Jews in Canada that's scrambling around trying to figure out where they get their kosher wine.
Hail Murray. I think that's the name
Maybe
of the brand.
Kedem, but that's not made in Canada. I mean, I think all the kosher wines are made,
New York.
or maybe Israel. I don't know. Maybe they make them in Israel.
I'm sure they do, but not those two brands.
Right. Something similar. Although, wouldn't surprise me if Manischewitz had a plant in Israel.
Zanesville, Ohio.
Everything is made in Zanesville.
Schenectady. You're connected in Schenectady.
There's nothing you can buy that hasn't been made in Zanesville, Ohio at some time.
Or thereby assembled.
Well, Mikey, as they say there down on the farm, peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
What a wine.
See you on Friday, Mikey. Thank you all for listening, too. We appreciate it. We're Michael Knight, New York Vinnie. He's Michael Knight. I'm New York Vinnie. And we'll see you on Friday. Take care.
See you, man.
See you, Mikey.